So welcome back. Here's the agenda for tonight's session. Give you a sense of everything that we've got going on for this evening. I'm going to start with a quick overview of what we experienced last week. And just so that you know, Tom Gripe, the CEO of Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, is going to join us at some particular point this early on. And when he does join us, then I'm going to turn around and give Tom the opportunity to be able to share with you, speak to you about what's happening. Real quick overview in terms of what we have been doing previously. We're going to have a little flip in terms of the order of the agenda normally. We'll start after I give a quick overview of last week, then Bill, you'll jump in and give information in terms of Strive On, and then we'll go through the key activities and things that we were going to cover with that. Okay, make sense? Okay. So, give you a quick sense of what we've been doing. Last week, we did an overview of the meeting, just like we're doing now. We talked about, we introduced our gift card winner from the previous week, from August 23rd. That was Paula Sowers. And then we announced the 5 minutes of fame featured member, and that was Chandra Williams, who told us about herself and her business. Then Michael Patton spoke to us about his program for the city, which was very cool. And we answered questions about how to find recordings on the Project Impact website. Then we also, I'm watching people joining as we talk about this. Bill, I hope you might be able to add people in so that I'm not deviating here. We answered questions about how to find recordings on the Project Impact site. We talked about using the workshops to inform the business plan. And I want to keep on harping on that, because that's the purpose of what we're doing. That's the whole thing in terms of collecting this information, starting to do customer discovery after making some assumptions about what our customers care about, validating that, and then applying that to your individual business plans, so that now you've got a real good sense of what your plan really is, and that it's your plan and not just some generic sort of a plan. Then we gave you a little bit of a reminder about the grant program that Antonius Northern had talked about. And I wanted to emphasize the importance of using that information to tell the story about your business. Then we talked about the week's topics a little bit, and key resources, how they drive the cost structure, how they help you understand your need for funding. I tried to note that there were 4 key categories that we wanted to focus in on with that, and that's physical, intellectual, human, and financial. I spent quite a bit of time on that, so we used up the rest of the meeting with Bill taking over from that point and sharing information about the Strive On app. Any questions at this particular point about that overview and any of the things that we covered last week? Okay, comment from here that Bill helped an awful lot with the Strive On app. Okay, was it hard to work through, or what was it like?
For me, once I had a little more clarification, how structure is made for it.
Very good. Okay. So she said as she got an understanding of how it was structured and how to work through it, it made a lot more sense. Okay, so that's again emphasizing wanting to make sure that Bill is being utilized as a resource to be able to make sure that you're getting your bang for your buck with the Strive on app. Okay. Um, Marcy, are you on the call here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so our winner of the Go Deeper drawing this week was Marcy Taylor. Marcy, you want
Yes.
to take some time to tell us about yourself and your business?
Sure. My name is Marcy Taylor. Right now, I'm currently the general manager of WSMK Radio, but 3 years ago, I launched a podcast called Women Who Boss Up, which is conversations with women in their journeys in different industries, retired educators, fitness coaches, opera singers. I'm just trying to, share stories of different people. I think there's a couple of people. I think Paula Sowers, I did one on. I did one with Chan as well. This year I'm launching my voiceover company. It's called We Bossy Productions. And what I'm doing is I'm providing my voice for any audio projects that, maybe a small business or an individual may need in regards to voiceover work, like maybe a commercial, a jingle, a promotion, narration, e-learning. Those are things that I'm looking to do right now. Pretty much, I think that's it, right, Mr. Summers?
Very good. Well, I'm excited to tell people that we're going to be working with you to help get the word out about the Strive On app and spreading the word throughout the community so that we can get as many people as possible taking a look at all the information about the different businesses and helping you promote your business through the app, but especially turning around and getting the votes so that you win the competition. But thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Question here.
Marcy helped me with my video for my business, and she's done an awesome job.
Oh, you got a testimonial here.
Yes.
Come on up here just for a second and speak more loudly into so that everybody can hear you here.
Hi, my name is Tracy Winston Williams, and I have a boutique downtown, and Marcy helped me with my commercial. She also helped me getting ads on the radio station. So she came out and she sat down with me and we strategized, and I love the commercial. I still use it to this day. And I'm looking forward to doing another commercial with her to help my business.
Very
Thank
good.
you, Tracy.
You're welcome, Marcy.
I love the testimonials. Okay. So, trying to make sure that I'm moving along. I'm hoping I'm not missing anything right now. And am I just a real quick check? Am I missing anything, Bill, that I should be making sure that I'm covering?
No, I think you're good.
Okay, good. Okay, so at this point, Bill, you have co-host control, and we wanted to get you in early to be able to talk about what people need to know about Strive On. Are you ready to share your piece?
So let me start out with, I'm gonna get my phone connected here. Sorry about that. We have some examples. Tracy, unfortunately, I didn't get yours done yet, so it's not in the app just yet. But I do have some other examples. James agreed to play guinea pig, so we have an example of his business in there, and we have one other one that's coming along pretty nicely from LaQuisha. So let's take a look. We go to the organ. Oh, here's the Summers group. And so if we We open that up, we can see his slogan there, community revitalization through entrepreneurship. And as we open it, and I have the wrong phone on here. Sorry, guys, this is the test version again. We can see his gallery. You know, I really should try and connect the other one. Give me 1 second, okay?
While Bill is doing that, you can find the Strive On app at projectimpactsouthbend.org website. There's a QR code. There's also a link to be able to try to help you connect.
Anybody get on that now?
Absolutely.
Can you guys see my screen still? Can you see my phone now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So, as we've gone over before, we have the image gallery at the top, right? And this certainly can be used to tell part of your story. I'll show you some do's and don'ts. James agreed to play guinea pig, so I talked to him this afternoon, and we're going to show you some things that are good. It's good content that he gave me, and some things that maybe could use some improvement. So one thing is, when looking at the image gallery, right? But his main tile there is fine. That's good. It catches your eye. His portrait is very nice looking, fills the screen, nice smile. Then we come to this little dinky image. This is the title of their whole campaign. Probably could use to be a little bit bigger. Maybe have some detail with it. But it's sure a contrast compared to the first couple that we've had, right?
Now, Bill, you had given specs, right, in terms of the size to actually make the images?
Yes, and they're on that page that I keep referring to, and we'll go over that in a minute. They're also, when you fill out the form, the specs are right there. It shows you it's this has to be 72 DPI resolution and 600 pixels wide by 340 high. It can be bigger. I can downsize them. I crop them a little bit sometimes and make them fit better. But basically it's that 600 to 340, that kind of ratio will work nicely on a phone and in the app, okay?
So people are seeing what happens when you don't follow instructions, right?
Well, and that's true. And some of these are resized. The app does some resizing on its own automatically. For different uses in different places in the app. The same image might show up 2 or 3 different places. So it's kind of hard, but that 600 by 340 is a ratio. So it could be 1200 by 680, right? As long as you keep that ratio, it's 1 to 0.567 is the ratio. So any aspect ratio, that aspect ratio can be any size, okay? So this is a good graphic, and remember your audience. We talked a little bit about who your audience is for this first part, right? So this is not as much about your end customer and about what you're doing, but about how you're developing your business for a business plan competition, right? And so you may have some graphics like this that may show the development of your business. Remember, you can make this larger by rotating the phone. I just turn the phone sideways and it's a nice image. So you may have 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 slides like this that say some aspect of you and how you're developing your business, whether it's customer segmentation, whether it's market analysis, whether it's finance, whether it's staffing. You may want to use some graphics, infographics, right? This is an example of what not to do, and James graciously included this, knowing that you guys might chuckle at it, but on a mobile phone, it's really not appropriate to put full documents. People can't read it. You can blow it up, but then now it gets blurry. You don't see the whole thing. So now you're not only going up and down, but you're going side to side. It's not the best use of this resource, okay? So I think these examples are pretty obvious, right? You can see what to do and what not to do. He's got the overview filled out. So he's got an intro video here. He's got his website, his email, and his contact phone number, which is all good stuff. And then he has a business description. And it's, you know, pretty good. This paragraph could be broken up a little, and I'll show you in a minute how to do that a little better. Here's a story. Definitely could be broken up a little bit. There's hours or by appointment, and there's some additional information. Now, what I did here, so this is all good stuff, and this is fine. What I did here, there's something I haven't shown you yet in this app, and that's part of the geolocation features, okay? It can be used to take, say, a historic tour. It could be a restaurant tour. It could be an audio tour of parks in the area, of history, of churches, of whatever content we want to build and put in here, okay, is the kind of the general thing of how we use this feature for the app. It's when you tap the explore button, it starts a geolocation feature that's going to show you what's in the area. And how we'll use it, if you want to, is it allows for another whole set of content to be loaded about your business. So let's take a look. So if I tap the explore button, I have this geofence set for several hundred miles so that it triggers here in Wisconsin as well. So you'll see it. This is how, and if you open it up, the same thing will happen. It says, I've discovered the Summers Group. Learn more. So it brings up his content package. If needed, we could even put several content packages here. You could break it down into some different topics. I don't think it's going to be necessary, but you can do that, and I can show you how to do that. But we can tap this and open it up, and we'll see his content here. So again, there's a photo gallery at the top. I just used the same images from before, but you could put 10 different images here. So in other words, let's think about the first part that we've been going through the last couple of weeks. You can use that part to tell your personal story. You know, what is it that made you first think about getting in business? What was your first product? How are you different than others? Why are you needed in the community? All those questions, right, that we've been talking about the last month or so. And then when it comes time, you build this second package that opens up when you tap the explore button. You can say, you can have more of the nitty gritty details about your business, right? To demonstrate that you deserve to win this prize because you know what you're doing. You've done your homework. You've got all the requirements of a good business plan, and you can demonstrate to people how you're going to pull all those pieces together to have a successful business. And that can go here. And so you can have 10 different images. A lot of your infographics, if you wanted, they could be right here. You can put, in addition, this is a place where you can put an audio file. So James had an interview he did. Wait a minute. I think I have to do something else here on Zoom so that you can hear it. Where are my controls? Here we go. Share sound, okay.
From the Summers Group, James Summers, representing the Dignity and Respect campaign. Hi, James.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Are we lacking in showing each other dignity and respect?
So this is an example. This was a recording he has. This is an MP3 file, okay, just a plain sound audio file, MP3. And you can do this on your own. You can just make a recording talking about yourself. If you've done a radio interview, right? We have someone from the radio station here. If you've done any radio interviews with Marcy, then, you know, maybe you could use those in here. Maybe you could get one done. Who knows, right? But it's a resource. This is a place where you can shine, really. I mean, when people hear things in your own words, it has a big impact, okay? If you have videos, right, which I think a lot of you do, you should have, right? You should have videos on Facebook. You should have them on YouTube. You should have them, you know, all your social media, right? Well, this place will open a video, and if it's on YouTube, is the best way to do it already.
Hi, I'm South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg. The city of South Bend is proud
We can just
of the
link straight
economic
to
growth
any
and
YouTube
development
video that
we've
you
been
already
seeing
have.
across
Don't
our
reinvent the
community.
wheel.
We're also proud of the historic and continuing diversity of our city, but we recognize that not everyone has had a share of the growing prosperity in this community. It's why we're...
So again, this is a place for you to really shine. This is a place where people can get a deep understanding of your business. It's a place where you can do that quickly in 60 seconds 30 seconds, 90 seconds, right? You do not want to have 10 minutes of video here, but just a quick thing that keeps people's interest and gives all the highlights of your business, right? And what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it, so on, right? Use these different asset types to your advantage. Don't simply repeat things. So for example, if you have some nice infographics on the slides, right in that gallery, then talk about something else in an audio file, or create a video that maybe touches on some of those or reinforces it, but expands that too. Don't just say the same thing, right? Use the assets to leverage them against each other, right? To tell the whole picture, right? To make sure people understand what it is you're about. I'm sorry, I don't know why my phone doesn't want to reconnect here. Let me start completely over again. Oh, there we go. So let's go back in there. And the last thing that is in this content package, well, there's a couple more things actually. So here, where you see his email and his phone, this is a place where we can potentially put some more information in this category that we're going to be creating. We'll be creating these categories, a couple of them for this business plan competition. We have the advantage of, I can put whatever you feel is needed here. So we may talk about that a little bit in the future, but just be aware that you can give additional information here. It's handy, it's convenient. I may see something in a video and it's like, hey, I want to email them. So all I got to do is tap that and it'll open up whatever email I want. Boom. And I can send it right away. It's very convenient. Now, the description, and we've talked about the descriptions before in different places. So let's talk about, how much is too much, right? So here we've got a pretty lengthy, fills the whole screen. My opinion is not the best reading experience on a small phone. Of course, especially if I didn't happen to have my glasses with me, I might have a little trouble, right? So there's ways you can structure this to improve it. One thing you can do is separate it a little more. And we talked, and you'll see, for those of you who have started looking at the forms and so on, that thinking about your content, I've indicated several places. Keep it like these paragraphs, keep it to 3 or 4 paragraphs, and keep it to like 1 or 2 sentences, 3 sentences each, right? So you keep it short and it breaks it up. So you can see after, a full page, it kind of runs together. So in the second paragraph, I went ahead and broke it up. So you can see it's looks a little more organized. It's a little bit easier to read, right? That's a good way to break things up, is in short snippets. So to quickly review what we covered tonight, we went over the things that we've been going over, right, the past few weeks, the slideshow, the gallery, right, the descriptions and so on. And then we added this secondary package that has some pretty neat things in it that'll help you tell your story. My suggestion again is use that first part for your basic information, kind of an introduction to your story, maybe how you got started, why did you want to start in business, what was your first product, was there special need you were solving, a certain problem that you had personally, or a family member or a friend, and you came up with a solution and thought, hey, maybe you could make a business out of this. It's interesting because there are a lot of different ways that people end up being in business. Some people are very intentional about it. I was very intentional about it. When I was managing a couple different restaurants, it's a lot of work. Restaurants are, right? It's long hours. You're working the hours where other people are out having a good time, enjoying themselves. And I found that the guys I was working for, they really, it was the staff that was putting all the effort in, and not the owners. And so I was very intentional about it. I actually got out of the restaurant industry for several years, and I promised myself and promised my wife at the time too that I would not go back in the restaurant business unless I had some kind of ownership position. And an opportunity presented itself, and I did. So that was a very intentional thing. Other people I know, they end up in business by accident. They're solving some problem, or they have some need, or relatives have some need, and they get pretty good at doing something. They figure out a solution, right? People love to hear those stories, is the point. Okay, so tell that story. Tell the story of what your spark is, right? What was your spark that got you going? And use that first part to tell your spark. Use this part maybe to tell more about, all right, here's the plan, right? So you can do this however you want. There's all these different places that you can leverage assets in this app that you can demonstrate to people, right? Your bottom line in this is, why should you vote for me? Why should I be the winner of this competition? That's the bottom line message you want to relay here. And with that, I will take questions if there's any questions. Let me ask, is Lucretia here?
Hi.
Hi. So have you had a chance to look over your entry? It's in the app, it's live. Would it be okay if I use it as an example, just to show some of the progress that people have been making?
Sure, no problem. But I
Okay.
haven't had a chance to look it over, but sure.
Well, we'll do it together then, huh?
Awesome.
So I think it's coming along nicely, actually. So here, this is our nonprofit, right? Hope for the Hungry. Nice logo. It's bright, catches your eye. We'll open a gallery. And she has good pictures here of what they do, right? You instantly get a feel for it that way. Her overview has some good links to an intro video, her website. This was a good one, how to become a member, right? If you want to help out and volunteer. How you can support their work, how to contact her. So this is a feature we haven't talked about in the app, but if you have some events coming up, we can add those into the app as well. She has this pop-up pantry that's going to be, we see September 10th and on October 8th as well. Now, if I say, hey, you know what? I want to make sure I don't forget that. I'm a user of the app. If I just tap that, it's going to, I can add it to my calendar directly from here. And just opens it up, puts it right there. Bingo. So that was good. That was really good that you included that. Here's her description. Again, nice, 3 paragraphs, broken up nicely. Very readable. Very nice. And some additional information, again, with another link to her website. What we can start doing, Lucretia, is if you want, we'll build out that, like the example I was showing of that, the next level when you tap the explore button, and we can put some of these videos, or if you have other videos, if you have any audio, if you have a different, as you develop your assets for your business plan, your infographics, your charts and so on, if you want to start adding those, we can add those on that second level. Or, I mean, you can put them on the first level if you want. That's completely up to all of you, how you want to do it. I'm just showing you the possibilities. You tell me how you want it organized. Okay?
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? I will say one more thing. I started working on a document here, some things to think about. I'm not finished with it yet. When I get it done, I will post it on that page. I hope you all found the page okay, the Strive On page here that I put up. Did anybody have any trouble finding it? Have you been able to use it? Is it helpful? Is there anything missing that you want to put here?
Bill, question from here, was where is that? How did they find it?
So that is, we have a link on the Project Impact site. just like you've been accessing other things for the business plan competition. If you go here, and then here are some links to resources right here. So under resources, you click that one. It'll take you right to this page. The password, remember, was Impact 2022 with a capital I.
Back 2022.
And that takes us right to the page we want. I'm looking forward to seeing some more of you pulling some things together here. I love it when a plan comes together, you know? And I hope all your plans come together.
Okay, I've got another question here. Go ahead.
Is there like a step-by-step guide to this? Like number one, do this, number two, do this, number three, do that.
Did you hear that, Bill? Is there a
I-
step-by-step guide?
Well, I
great.
mean, I don't know that I have it written down anywhere. I mean,
That'd be great.
well, it's your story. I mean, so create your story. You know what I'll do? I'll add some steps, some basic steps in with that document I'm working on with the questions. Okay, so obviously the first step I always recommend, I think James and I are on the same page on this. Create an outline. What is it you want to say? So don't start writing paragraphs. Start writing bullet points. Right? Create an outline. I started in business because. Finish the sentence, and don't do any more than that. What's the next major thing that happened? Right? I found a solution by. And write one sentence. It grew into a business because. Write one sentence. My business grew based on whatever. Right? So make an outline. And then put it away for a day or two. And then go back and read your outline and make sure you've hit all the 5 or 6, 7, 8, whatever they are, bullet points, key points that you want. And now start writing a paragraph with each one. Start filling it in. And just write up your story. Forget about video, forget about audio, forget about images. Just write your story that way. Do an outline, fill it in with a paragraph here and there. And then as you're doing that, as you're getting that part of it done, you'll start to see, oh, you know what? This would be a good place. I want to talk about that interview I did for the radio station. Or I have some, I need to develop some infographics for this part of my business plan. So that, maybe I can incorporate those here with this paragraph or, wherever it makes sense. And so, just take a very methodical approach, starting with bullet points and then grow it, right? Does that make sense?
That's great. I actually really love that. I wrote down every word you said. But I
Okay,
wonder,
well, I'll put this in a document. Go ahead.
what about like how to use this app? Because I signed into the app and now I don't even know what to do there. How to access that information.
Okay, hey, Bill.
I lost that last part of that.
Bill, what you and I can do in the next couple of days is do a 1, 2, 3 step-by-step guide, and we'll share it so that people can get a real good, comfortable feeling in terms of I do this, then the next thing I do, then the next thing I do, and the next thing I do, and we'll walk it through. And we'll make it so easy that James Summers could even understand.
Okay,
People
all right.
I'm calling you all the time.
No,
Well,
hey, that's what I'm here for.
Call.
And, in fact, I'll just mention I opened up. So on this resource page here, if you want to schedule some time with me one-on-one, you click on schedule a time. I opened up another night. So we have Wednesday and Thursday nights I have available here. Here they are. These times. So sign up for any one of these times.
Oh, just one?
What's that?
Just one time? That's all I get?
Well, you can do more. Don't sign them for, let's start with 20 minutes. Run before, walk before you run, right? James always says that, right? We'll start with 20 minutes. We'll do some basics. Then you'll go work on it, and then you can schedule another time, come back, and we'll go the next step, right?
Okay. Any other questions in the chat or anything? Okay, Bill, thank you
Thanks.
very much. Oh, wait, I got another question from the floor here. Go ahead.
On the app, I noticed it says update. So say, okay, say if I started and then I got kids or I'm distracted now, I want to stop. Is there a way to save your information? I'm on just page 1.
Okay, Bill, can you hear this okay?
Two parts I heard. One was about, is there a way to save your information if you start filling out the form? Unfortunately, that's not the way these forms work. I don't have any control over that. It's so you have to like fill the whole thing out. You don't necessarily have to fill out the whole thing. So let's take a look at it quick, okay?
The question I had was, say if I filled it out, I've added pictures, I've added my audio, my podcast, my YouTube, and then I want to change or update.
Okay, I'll cover that next.
Two separate questions.
Thank you.
This is the basic form. Remember, if there's a red asterisk next to it, it's required. You will see here. Let me just put something in here. So you go to the next. Oh, wow, what did I miss? Man. Oh, email. At there. It knows the format. So then these are required fields. Okay, so you have to, in order to complete the form, even the first time, you can't save it partially done. You have to have at least the required fields with the red asterisks. They have to be completed all the way through. So, okay, so after this, there's one more page. The last page is just for uploading images, and you only have to have one image to actually submit the form the first time. Okay, so now let's go back to this other page. And if you want it, so say you submit just the basic stuff because you want to get a framework started, you want to see how it looks in the app, right? And then you want to build on that. I created a second form here that you can use here for updates. If you click this link, you'll see that this form, it's pretty much the same. It only has 3 required fields though. Your name, so I know who it is, your business name, again, so I know who it is, and your email address has to go in here so that you get that automatic, the confirmation that you submitted something, and you can reply to that email. Just reply to that email directly if you want to make a change. So that's another way you can make a change, is replying to the confirmation, okay? Or you can submit this update. So there's 2 ways to do an update. Reply to the original email, be very clear about what it is you want changed, okay? And do that way, or click on this update link, and this leaves the form pretty open. So these are the only 3 required fields. Everything else is wide open, so you can just go through the form and just fill in what you want. Now, if you want to add more images, I wouldn't use the reply to your confirmation. I would not do that. If you want to add things like images and video and audio, if you want to add a lot of text, for example, I would use this update form, okay? And it's a little cleaner, and it'll be better. I'll be able to see it a lot better, be more organized, okay?
Hey, Bill,
Yes.
I want to suggest to people a couple of different things. One, that they actually write out what they want to put into the individual blocks in a Word document, maybe, and actually do the breaks, and then turn around and actually cut and paste that into the form initially. That'll help avoid a bunch of corrections and that sort of thing.
Yep, that's a wonderful idea.
And then again, using the tool, as you were saying, in terms of updates of things. So now I want to improve some things. That'll be another way to be able to do it. But I like putting stuff together, making sure it's all clear, and then cutting and pasting it, putting it in. I think that puts you in a better position.
Yes, that's absolutely right, James. And it has many advantages. Like you say, I mean, you can review it, you can read it, you make sure the message is getting across, that it's clear, it's what you want to say. guess what? Word also has automatic spell checker. And I'll tell you, I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not a good speller, and I'm even a worse typer. So I get a lot of typos when I start typing. You might have noticed a couple weeks ago, remember, I couldn't get the link right even. I kept typing it wrong. So Word catches that kind of stuff, right? And then when it's just the way you want it, cut and paste, copy and paste. That's perfect.
Excellent. Okay, I know I have Tom Gripe is trying to join us. He's we're having technical difficulties on it. But Bill, do we have anything more that we really want to make sure that's being shared?
Well,
know
I think
time is tight right now.
I think we're good for now. I'm looking forward to people signing up, and if I can help you, with doing some of this, Wednesday or Thursday, get a hold of me. Send me an email, by the way, anytime. If you can't do it Wednesday or Thursday, we'll work something out. Okay.
Cool. I think it's really important for me that everybody understand that this is a really good resource. You're getting video, you're getting audio, you're getting text, you're getting content that you will be able to share not only on the Strive-On app for, what'd you say, a year free, but then also to be able to use that content in other places. Use this, promote your business, get the word out, and take advantage of this, because we're going way out of our way in order to be able to try to make this, one, easy for everybody, but also to give you resources that you can use to promote your business. And I really want you to promote your business. Okay. Bill, thank you so much. Hang on as long as you can. I know you have another appointment, and I just appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. And now we have Tom Gripe. Okay. Tom, if you will introduce yourself.
Yes.
And the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, James. My name's Tom Gripe, and I'm the president and CEO of Notre Dame Federal Credit Union. And by the grace of God, the camera is not working, so you don't have to look at my bald head, ugly face. We can just hear my beautiful melodic voice. And I have been a friend of James Summers for 12 years, and I am a big, big proponent of this business plan competition. And I think it's a great gift to the community that so many of you guys have signed up and are giving it a serious run. So congratulations to each and every one of you.
Tom, can you tell us a little bit about Notre Dame Federal Credit Union? Because you have been, without a doubt, the greatest supporter of what we're doing with Project Impact, but especially with the Business Development Center, and now with the business plan competition. Can you say something in terms of what Notre Dame Federal Credit Union is doing in terms of working with businesses, supporting business, and especially I want to emphasize the financial physician approach to helping businesses develop and grow?
Oh, absolutely. I could talk for hours about this, so I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. But let me start by saying that there is a huge difference between what a credit union does and what a bank does. At least that's what it should be. And at the Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, we really do try to put that difference out in the forefront. And what I mean by that is that we are not a for-profit entity. We're a not-for-profit entity. So our objective is to keep as much money in the business as necessary to keep the lights on and pay a living wage and all that. And then the next thing after that is to make sure that our owners, which are our members, get full value from a financial institution, to eliminate the friction for borrowing money or depositing money and all that type of thing. So over the last several years, we really have tried to be in the forefront in terms of sharing our resources in a disproportionate amount, meaning we may not put as many dollars into the community as let's just say a larger organization, but we put a huge percentage of our profits in there. And so it's heart and soul for us. And we really take pride in being able to do what we do. Okay, so that's the commercial on the credit union. So we view, we have three constituencies. We have our members, which are our owners, okay? We have our partners, which are employees, and we have to make sure that they have good pay, good benefits, and all that. The third piece is equally important, and that's the communities in which we serve. And we are a big member of the Michiana South Bend community. So our objective is to pump as much resource into the community as possible, recognizing that we can't do everything for everybody. So where do we fire the rifle? Because we can't shoot a shotgun. Where do we fire the rifle? And we believe the best use of that is to identify successful people who have not only ideas, but the energy and the perseverance to open businesses, okay? And it's not easy. Many of you are the road, you know, it's like pushing a rope. It can take years before you become an overnight success, right? And then when you are an overnight success, what's your secret, right? And the secret is there is no secret. You just get knocked down 6 times and you got to get up 7, right? So by relying on the Resource Center, really as one of our main partners, we work together to help identify who those folks are and work with Project Impact and say, all right, who are the small businesses there that not only have a good idea, but have the owners that know how to persevere, who know setbacks, but who are not going to let failure be part of their vocabulary. Those are the people that we do our darndest to support. And what does that mean? Well, that means that we can help you with financing if that's possible. We also can help with advice, sometimes tough love. But the idea is, how can you guys get on your legs and be able to have enough capital to get the business started? It's not, you know, we're not Santa Claus. You know, we do want our money back. And we expect people to work hard and make their payments and all that. And if things don't work out, we have to figure out how we're going to get our members' money back. So again, there's no free handout, but we're willing to take bets based upon the relationships that we have with the center and Project Impact and other people in the community who can say, you know what, this guy or this woman, this man, they got it. They figure it out. They go. We've worked with them. They have a vision with a business plan. They see the whole battlefield. They have been knocked down and they know how to get back up. Those are the people I'll bet on every time, because what it comes down to, it's not what you put on a piece of paper, even though that paper that you're working on right now is critically important because it provides you vision as well as the vision for a prospective financial partner. But if you don't have the heart, and you don't, I keep using the word perseverance, the perseverance to keep banging away at it when you get turned down and when things don't go your way and when the sales aren't there and, oh Lord, there's a myriad of things, right? You put all those pieces together, and if you're rocking and rolling, we'll be there for you. And I view lending as much an art as it is a science. And there are banks out there and financial institutions that run purely by what your credit score is, you know, what your financial statements look like and all that. Now, that is very important. If you have a terrible credit score, that's something we have to together work on, okay? But that's only half the story. The other story is the qualitative. It's who you are. What is your history? Because an entrepreneur is nothing more than a person who refuses to give up, right? Even when it looks like it's insurmountable. Somebody who will sacrifice daily things in order to get money in the business and to keep reinvesting and keep trying and keep thinking about different ways to get around that barrier. So it's kind of, that's the qualitative piece. You have to have both. put a lot of money on somebody who says, you know what, here's my plan, here's how it's working, this is what I'm doing, and here's how I've persevered up to this point, and here's my plan, and here's what I want to do. You know, we'll say, you know what, somebody's got to change the trajectory of this world, right? And you do that by doing things that may not be in a textbook. And that's what a credit union is supposed to do. And that's what we try to do. And we're only as good as the last time we failed. But I think James will tell you, we never stop trying. And we never stop looking and trying to find people that we can help change their lives. But not only their lives, but their families' lives, right? And not only their families' lives, but their community's lives. These things are like little pieces. But if you do enough little pieces, now you got a whole picture. And there's no easy way about it. You've got to start one at a time and one step in front of the other. How do you eat an elephant, right? This is how we do it. If we're going to change the makeup of small business in South Bend, you can't keep lending the way banks always lend, because it's a brick wall, right? Some people will say it's stacked against me. Well, in some ways it is, but oftentimes it's just a confluence of things. So you've got to be able to say, we're a financial institution that we recognize the quantitative, which is credit score, how much money you have in the bank, all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. But also your heart, your spirit, your tenacity, your perseverance. What does your business plan look like? What have you done when you fell on your face in the first 6 months of your business plan? Because that'll happen, right? What did you do? Give up, or did you keep charging, keep charging? Because the people who make it are the people who kept charging. Not how many times you failed, it's how many times you kept getting up and keep pounding away at it, and then deferring self-gratification and keep investing into the business and keep it going and going. So that's my riff. That's the story.
I love it. Hey, thanks, Tom. And I know how busy you are. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Are there, is there any real quick questions that we might be able to ask? I'm not seeing anything right now, but.
Okay, I just want to say another thing before I say goodbye.
Go ahead.
All of you, please appreciate the gift that's there. The resources that Project Impact and the Resource Center have spent to do this, take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. These are coaches, these are mentors that you can be deadly honest with. And they're going to tell you, they're going to talk to you straight, like a family person. They're going to tell you how it is. And if you listen to them, you are going to be far, far more successful than if you followed a more baser instinct and just said, hey, I can do it on my own. You're putting a lot of time and energy into these classes. And, and if you win and getting free rent, may heavens, I mean, keeping costs down in the first year or so of any small business is key to success. This is right in your lap. So give it some serious thought and put a lot of effort in it. Because if you win, and even if you don't win, you're going to have enough visibility in the community that people will want to back you. They really will. So please take it seriously.
All right. God bless. Thank you, my friend. I'm going to move
Take
on.
Care.
You as well. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay. So I hope y'all are seeing the screen, shared screen at this particular point, trusting that you are. So our next thing that I want to try to move us towards, okay, and get the screen working. Okay, so we did the overview of last week's meeting. We turned around and we've given the opportunity to be able to talk about the Strive On app. And now I want to get into a bit about our key activities. Okay, but before I do that, any questions, any challenges, any issues that I can respond to? I think here we had talked a little bit about, there were some questions with regard to the app that I think we really need to refer offline to Bill to be able to try to find out. Is that okay? Okay, I got a head nod. Excuse me, a head nod. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna dive into key activities here. Okay. Key activities. They're the things that we need to make sure that we're getting done on a day-to-day basis. Okay. I mean, it's like I keep reminding y'all that none of this is rocket science. Okay. So those of you who know me know that one of the things that I constantly say is like, what's the low-hanging fruit? What's the closest thing to money? Okay. I ran the Summers Group for years after leaving corporate America. Okay. Corporate America, you got a regular check. That's a really wonderful thing. Okay. You jump into your own business and you eat what you kill. If you don't do anything, you starve. Okay. So you're constantly looking at what opportunity is out there that's closest to money. And I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to move forward on that. So that's just James's philosophy. The other thing is that I keep sharing this stuff I use, the business model canvas, the tools for trying to move forward with all of this stuff. They're just tools. They're just ways that we try to organize how we put information together in order to be able to try to make that next step. And how am I going to move forward with some things? So if, for example, if you've got a, I don't know, you're in production, or if you're problem solving, or you got software tools that you create, or a platform or networking or some other type, if you're in production, you'll have to try to design the product or manufacture it, right? I mean, you got stuff you got to do. How will you market it? You start thinking in terms of what are the steps I have to take? How am I going to sell this? How am I going to deliver it? What are the things I have to do? If you solve problems for people, how are you going to manage the knowledge of how to solve a problem? I'm just trying to get to it. It's like you need to develop a process, maybe you need to put a team together, but are things that you got to do in terms of moving forward. So one of the challenges that most businesses I work with is that we're so busy working in the business that we don't have time to work on the business. And so we can't find how to be able to move some stuff forward. But if you stop and think about it, that's exactly what you're doing right now. Okay. So if you're thinking about this, at least in my brain, I take this thing along two different paths. One, I want to grab the lowest hanging fruit. Okay, what is it that's closest to money? And then I use the tools that I have at the sample as my at the center here as my example of how to move forward with some stuff. So remember, and I'm just going to use us as an example. Remember a week or so ago, Antonius Northern came in and he did a presentation about this brand new grant that was being offered to small businesses. If you think about that, you remember that I used us as an example again, and I talked about the fact that the center, we have 3 customer segments that we fundamentally focused in on, okay? We have the municipalities. the government agencies that are trying to provide services and that sort of thing. The city, the county, the state, the federal government. We have the members as our second customer segment. Those of you who are helping, we're helping to put plans together, to connect to opportunities and be able to make some money. And then we had a third segment that were those organizations that are trying to find a way to be able to help underrepresented groups, but have difficulty finding them and connecting to them and that sort of thing. Those are our three fundamental customer segments. Okay, so for us, customer segment number one is the municipality that wants to find businesses to give those grants to. When I look at what Antonius had brought into play, right? He has a grant and loans, a program for grants and loans that he wants to give to small businesses. So the first thing I've got to do is look at my customer segment and I think, what's the value proposition for them? Well, what's the problem that they have? Well, first, they want to have to try to find the businesses, right? So I can turn around and provide services in terms of connecting them with businesses in the community that they couldn't find. I told you the story when we started the center. I had the conversation with the people in the city and they thought that there were 10 Black businesses in South Bend. And before we even opened the door, we had 70 lined up, okay? So obviously there's a disconnect in terms of how you identify, how you find them. I can solve that problem. Next thing becomes, it's like, they want to find them, that's the first, but they also want to get them ready in order to be able to take advantage of the program that they got favored, okay? I'm talking about what we talked about in terms of customer segment, right? And then value proposition. You've got your notes on this, you understand all this stuff, hopefully, okay? Now we're talking about what are the key activities that will be associated with that. Again, I'm just going to keep on using me as the example. Antonius came in, he talked about a new program that was coming up and the opportunity that was associated with it. Me, business opportunity. So now what am I going to do? One, I'm going to develop my assumptions in terms of what it is that I believe this customer segment, municipalities, the city, Antonius in this case, needs and wants, right? Next, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to validate my assumptions. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to talk to them. I turned around and I sat back and I brainstormed, right? And with whoever, and I started thinking, this is probably what they want. This is probably what they need. This is what I know they need. That I don't know whether they know they need it or not, right? But then I'm going to have the conversation with the customer to find out what do they think they need, and does it match what I assumed they thought they needed? And then how do I bridge that disconnect, if there is a disconnect? Are you with me so far? Anybody got a question that I need to answer at this particular point? I'm assuming not. Okay. So now you turn around and we start. The next thing I want to do is I've developed my assumptions, I've validated my assumptions, and now I want to establish my value proposition. We talked about this. You've got your notes on this, okay? If you don't have your notes on it, go back and listen to it and put your notes together, okay? But now I'm sitting back and I'm thinking very seriously, this is what I understand they want to try to accomplish, the jobs. This is what I established was the pains, the things that get in the way of them accomplishing that. These are the things that I said were the gains that they would say, aha, Once I get this done, this is what I benefit from, right? Their opinion of what the benefit is, not my opinion what the benefit is, their opinion. And remember, we talked at that particular point in terms of, it's like the old Covey thing, right? It was like important and urgent, right? If it's important, I'm probably going to get to it, but if it's urgent, I got to get to it. So important and urgent becomes the thing that people will write a check for, and I can charge a premium for. Hate to sound like that, but I'm in business, okay? And so this is the most valuable thing to them. This is the thing that they're going to write the check for. Again, I'm spending some time on this, but if you're like me, you've probably spent a whole bunch of time talking to people who need the product, who say they want the product, but they haven't paid for the product. The people who immediately pay for the product are the ones who feel like it's urgent and it's important. And then they'll turn around, and then you can turn around and show them how you're going to solve the problem. Okay, so that's how you put your sales and your marketing stuff together. Okay, so then we turn around and we looked at the pain relievers. How can I solve the problem, right? And then what is the product that I provide that solves the problem? And that's how we established our value proposition. Okay, I spent too much time on that. Now I'm going to go through the rest of my steps, because I'm going to take a look at how am I going to establish my revenue streams? How am I going to make money on this? Is it actually going to make sense? Am I going to take the time to turn around and say, how many of these do I have to sell each month in order to be able to make the amount of money that I say I want to make at the end of the year, right? I'm going through the exercise of that. How many of these do I have to sell in order to be able to make that amount of money? I'm going through the exercises that are associated with that. I'm spending some time. I drink my own Kool-Aid, guys, okay? I'm serious in terms of the conversation that I'm having with the city around the grant proposition that Antonius brought here. I did this exercise. It's not, it may sound complicated, but the reality of the situation is like, I'm done doing this in an hour. It doesn't take that much time when you start thinking through these sorts of things. How am I going to make money? I got to have a plan. Okay, I can't just say, I hope I'm going to make some money. How am I going to turn around and make this happen? Do I have some key resources that I need to connect with in order to be able to do this? Okay, who do I need in order to be able to, in this particular example, have the people that I've identified? Well, I know how to do that. I got Project Impact. How am I going to turn around and work with them and prepare them? Well, now I've got other resources that I tap into. What are the key activities? This is what we're talking about today. What are the things I'm actually going to do in order to be able to move this thing forward? And then what key partners might I need in order to be able to bring in to make sure that I make this happen? And what's my cost structure in terms of, it's like, okay, so how does this all come together to make sure that it makes sense to do all of this stuff? I do this, I have done this exercise because I'm moving forward with this opportunity. I'm just open kimono, I'm just telling you how I do stuff, okay? Then I had to pitch it to the board because I'm serving as the executive director for Project Impact. I can't just go do stuff, okay? I have to turn around and I have to run it past the board and say, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Here's how I think this plan works. Here's why I think it makes sense. Here's what it's going to cost. Here's what the return on the investment is going to be. Do I get a nod yes in order to be able to move forward? I don't know how your business is structured, okay? But you need to do that process, even if it's just your business. And it's like, you know what? I gotta go sit down with my significant other because your money's in this tied up too. Are you good with this? Right? It's the same process. Anybody got any questions with me on that? Anything that I can answer as opposed to that. Yes,
I think it's always good to have trusted advisors.
always good. The comment here is always good to have trusted advisors. And I say amen, 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 okay?
'Cause I might not want to run it by my husband.
I'm not repeating that one. She said she may not want to run it past her husband. She
Although
loves
he is
him.
a trusted advisor, I will say, on the skeptical side. But I think it's good to have around you people who are for you.
That's exactly right.
And, you know, cheer you on,
Yes.
give you solid feedback.
I'm hoping everybody's hearing all of this. Having people around you who are trusted, who will give you honest feedback and helping you move along that plan, that is absolutely critical. And you also start to hear some things that we otherwise would have left out. Remember, I keep emphasizing that this whole exercise is customer discovery. We start with what we assumed people cared about, our customers. We go and talk to people and we validate or we disprove our assumptions. We turn around and take that knowledge and empower and strengthen our business plans from the standpoint of here's what we thought, here's what research told us, here's what happened in terms of when we actually talked to people in the community, here's what they said, and this is why we made the decisions in terms of who our customer segments are, how we run our business, those sorts of things. That's what makes your business plan a sensible and viable business plan, but it also makes somebody want to believe that, you know what, this person knows what the heck they're talking about, and this is probably going to work. The other thing, again, I'm using me as the guinea pig. Customer segment number 2, our members. So I still have to walk through the same process to think through how does this deal with customer segment number 2? Remember what the deal is. The business opportunity is a grant and loans coming from the city in order to be able to help small businesses. Customer segment number 2. My first customer segment was the city trying to help have an effective program. Customer segment number 2 are the members of my center here who could take advantage of this, who could benefit from this overall program. I gotta identify them, okay? There's 400 of y'all. Everybody doesn't care about this program, and that's okay. Everybody doesn't want to participate in this program, and that's okay. But some really think that this would really be a real benefit. I need to communicate with you and make you know what this program is and make sure that you understand it and want to be engaged with it. The next thing I have to do is I have to spend some time with you, and I have to spend some time preparing you so that you're going to be successful. So I have to have a plan in place that basically says that I understand what Antonius and the city and what they expect and what makes a winner and what makes a loser, okay? I need to understand what are the pieces that you have to have in place in order to be able to be successful with the program. If any of you know me, you know perfectly well that it's like I constantly tell you, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So I don't want you going in the door and your stuff being put in front of somebody, and the first impression is it's like, that's kind of raggedy stuff. I'm not sure that makes any sense. And then we try to go back a second time, showing how improved it was. And in the back of their minds, they're still thinking, it's like, well, the first time I saw it, that was pretty raggedy. I don't know if I really trust it. I'm just talking about human nature. I've been around a long time. I'm 70 years old, okay? I'm tired, I'm cranky, but I'm also experienced, okay? So I'm just trying to warn people in terms of how we deal with this. Our job is to have a strategy to prepare our members So we walk you through the stuff, and then before we even present it together, we make sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. That's my job. After I've done that, and I know how the system works, because that's my job, right? I turn around and I'm presenting the client, my partner, my business member, in order to be able to present it. Now I got to be the advocate. My job is, how am I going to advocate for the people that I bring forward? How am I going to argue the case that it's like, no, this is somebody who should get the grant. This is somebody who should get the loan. And these are the reasons why they should have it. And this is what's all been prepared. Tom will tell you, okay? Tom and I, 12 years together, I've been on their board. I'm emeritus on the board. Oh, by the way, if I didn't say it before, I am extremely biased in favor of Notre Dame Federal Credit Union. Why? Well, because I've been on the board for 12 years. Okay, it's like, and I know how everything works and that sort of thing. But again, okay, I'll step away from that. My thing becomes, it's my job to be the advocate, but I'm going to prepare you in advance. You may get mad at me because I'm telling you stuff that you don't want to hear. You're telling me how wonderful the business is and that sort of thing. And I'm turning around and telling you, it's like, yeah, but this is how it's going to be responded. These are the things we need to work on. I'm going to try to prepare you as much as possible so that I can actually be your voice in there. Am I going to win 100% of the time? No, I ain't stupid. I'm not going to win 100% of the time, but I'm sure as heck going to put together the best argument I possibly can. Then the next thing, and remember, I'm describing to you, these are the specific things that I am doing with regard to my key activities for this project. I'm giving you me as an example. This is the stuff I do, okay? Now I'm going to turn around and I'm going to document the key performance indicators that'll show return on investment. I'm going to turn around and say, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to measure. This is how we're going to know that this is the results you're going to get, because that's what I do. And I generally do that in the form of some sort of a report. I'm doing it for my customer segment, number one, the municipality. Because when I do that, they feel comfortable. It's like, oh, this was really worth doing because look at the numbers, look at the information, and look at how professionally it was prepared. I'm doing it again because my customer segment, oh, the board that I have to report to at Project Impact, oh, and I didn't necessarily identify them as customer segment number 4. They're customer segment number 4. I need to be able to show them that you trusted me to say this would work. I'm turning around and showing you how it will work and how it does work. That's what I do. That's my plan. Now, normally, if I didn't show a return on investment, I turned around and I messed up, that sort of thing, they'd fire me. Oh, guess what? I'm a volunteer. Maybe they're not going to fire me. Maybe I won't get the bonus and the raise. Okay, but at least accountability, right? Okay. Does all of that make sense? Is there any question that anybody has on all of this stuff I just threw at you? If not, go ahead. Question from the floor here.
What I hear you talking about this, it almost sounds like you can make an appointment for one-on-one.
Oh yeah, you can always make an appointment with me on one-on-one. That's what we do. Yeah, yeah, anytime. Go ahead. Question number 2.
Is there, do you have an email that you send out to people, like Bill is going to say, okay, this slide is open, maybe I can say.
No, do I have a calendar like that?
Will you produce one for us? Perhaps?
Maybe at some point in the future, but right now it's like, shoot me an email and I'll shoot you an email back and say, here's when I'm available. Can we meet? And we'll do it like that. Okay. I'm not as organized as Bill. Bill is way more efficient than I am. God bless his heart. I'll get there one day. Okay. So here's the deal. that I want you to take just a couple of minutes, okay? Take 5 minutes and just jot down your key resources or your what is this, key activities that you want to make sure that you're focused in on, okay? Think in terms of your business and just jot down the key activities that you think with each of these business opportunities that you have, just so that you can start stimulating the thought on this, okay? It is 7:35. Yes.
We have a question. We have a question in the chat real quick.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Bill.
It is, how do key activities show return on investment? What's the measure?
Okay. So for me, I turn around and I start thinking in terms of, again, I'm just plotting out what are the things I need to do to be able to make this happen, right? And then I step back and it's like, I did these things. Did they result in what I thought was going to happen? So for example, the key activities, I start putting together, here's how I'm going to help the city benefit from our pre-screening people. This is the pitch that I'm going to share with them. The question there is like, was it an effective pitch? Did it not? My basically outcome on that activity is, did I get the yes I thought, or did I get enough? I hope I'm answering this in the right way. But each of these becomes steps that I need to do in order to be able to make some stuff happen. A key activity for the project I was just describing becomes, I need to turn around and describe how I'm going to be able to connect different businesses, different groups that they otherwise would not have met, right? Then if I do that and they turn around and it's like, oh, you brought me a whole bunch of businesses that I otherwise wouldn't have met, I had the return on the investment of time. Is that making sense? And if it's not, I'll try to get better at it.
James, I can add something to that also.
Please go ahead.
This is Dwayne. I kind of did the exercise based upon what you're talking about, and if I understood you correctly, first of all, you know our business is gourmet popcorn, but I wrote down all of the areas that we wanted to enhance with our business. You know, one of them obviously is eventually having a location in South Bend, but we have our grab and go customers, which are people that come through the door. Then we have corporate sales. We have wholesale products, where we actually wholesale to a select group of customers. We want to expand that. Then we have our e-commerce, which is our website, and we also launched something during the pandemic, or right before the pandemic, something called virtual fundraising, which is not the traditional face-to-face, even though we still do that, but the virtual. But if I understood the question correctly, it says, how do you demonstrate the ROI, or how do you show the ROI? Is you have to start looking at each one of the costs associated with enhancing each one of these things. And so, for example, our grab and go customers, we want to offer, I had a discussion today with one of my financial people, and we were talking about what additional products can we have in the store so that when people do come through the door, what else can we sell them besides popcorn? And so we started having that discussion. And so now I'm going to have to look at, if we did offer something, do we have to have refrigeration for it? Do we have to have storage for it? How much does the product cost? What's the margin on that? And et cetera. And then once you get all of those pieces of information, it takes time when you go through each one of these, because you have to look at the total cost in addition to your time. And then you look at that and say, okay, how much do you expect to sell, and how much can you sell on that? And then that's the way you get at it. And then you might do a trial, like we've been sampling different products out here where we've been offering different services like our virtual fundraising. I know how much we spent on that, and I actually am seeing a return on that already because of the number of fundraisers that we're offering. So I don't know if that helps, but the way you get to the ROI on it is you have to kind of add up the cost and the personnel time, the product time, etc., the product cost, etc., and then come to some numbers and have some estimates, and then you have to actually do it.
Man, that was so much better than what I said. Thank you, Dwayne. Question from the floor here? No? Okay,
We have another question in the chat.
go ahead.
It is, do you demonstrate ROI in financial tables or reference it in a written section?
Oh, interesting. My personal thing is how do I capture my information? Okay, because I have a tendency to use that when we talked about revenue streams, a simple spreadsheet and capture information organized that way. When you're thinking in terms of how you're going to describe it in your business plan and talks about, okay, so here's how I captured that information and here's what we learned from it. Now it becomes a more of a text, sort of a message or a document. Is that making sense?
I would just add to that, James, that I think depending on somewhat on the use, what is it you're trying to do with that ROI? Is it part of a narrative in a loan application? Is it expected ROI? Is it are you trying to demonstrate it for business partners or key stakeholders that may have some financial interest? But you would often want to use both. So you might have a small table that says, here's using Dwayne's example, here's the additional refrigeration we had to purchase. Here was, these 3 or 4 items that went into carrying these extra products, so our additional investment was X. We generate a sales of Y, a simple table set up like that, but then have some narrative about it too. So we were able to, over the course of whatever time frame, through the XYZ marketing, so on and so forth, and generated ROI of, which was higher or lower, or just as expected. You have kind of both. You have a table to show the numbers, and then some narrative that says kind of what happened or what we expect to happen.
Very good.
Yeah, the other thing, James, is short of actually having, doing this thing, actually doing it, if you're not in business already, because this is a business plan, and I often joke with people that I've talked to when I'm talking out in public, is that if I had the internet when I was going through college, I would have gotten all A's. It's just a wealth of information out there that if you Google what you're thinking about, first of all, there's nothing new under the sun. As much as we entrepreneurs like to think we're creative and we're coming up with something new, trust me, there's somebody out there that's either tried it or is doing it. And if you dig hard enough, you can actually find examples. I actually did this today before I had this conversation prior to this meeting. I actually went out and found, because I wanted to know the gross margin and the net income on a particular segment before I actually had a conversation with my financial guy today, and that's exactly what I did. I went out and found it on in some resources that I had access to. And so you short of actually having the data, you can actually put it in a written form that says, this is what I'm going to do, and tell the story, or have it in ones and zeros and actually do that and lay it out in a table.
I'm loving this. I got folks on the phone here or on the line here that are so much smarter than me. This is so good. Thank you. Bill, any other questions in the chat?
We just have one comment from Ann that makes a good point. Thinking that for any key activity, there needs to be an anticipated outcome. Was it met, or should there be a pivot? Dwayne is on target. There needs to be a measure, however defined.
That's really good. Yeah. And that also adds to the overall story. Here's what I thought was going to happen based on whatever, research or whatever. Here's what actually happened. Here's what we learned, and here's how my business is better because of that. That becomes part of the overall story that we want to be able to tell. I'm going to jump into the key partners piece to make sure that we talk a bit about that, okay? So when we talk about key partners, the question we start to ask is there someone who's better at doing something that I need than I am? And how we might tap into that. And why would we do that? Well, there are a number of different reasons why. I might be able to optimize some things. I might be able to get more efficiency in terms of moving my business forward. I might get economies of scale. Now I can turn around and partnering with somebody, I might be able to do more with less and be more efficient and really move my business forward in a smart way. I might be able to minimize my risk. I might be able to because I'm working with somebody who's got way more expertise and experience than I have on this, now the chance of something going wrong or the opportunities in terms of doing something exceptionally well are increased. I may want to spend more time focusing in on my expertise. Those of you who know me, I joke about it all the time, but I'm only halfway joking. Wendy and I have been married 47 years, and I tell people all the time, she still won't let me balance the checkbook, okay? I'm a marketing guy, okay? I do what I do, okay? She's a numbers person and is extremely effective and smart at it. It's like I'd be stupid to not let her just take that and run with it and just, you know, we work with it together. If maybe you want to focus in on what it is that you do exceptionally well and you want to have a partner that turns around and does those things that you're not very, very good at. You might also want to be looking at this in terms of resource acquisition. We may turn around and by partnering with somebody, we may be able to gain resources that now allow us to be able to do way more sooner and effectively and grow faster together than we could separately apart. Strategic alliances can be all kinds of different things. You know, just who am I going to partner with in order to be able to do something? And it may be a short-term arrangement in order to be able to do a particular project. And then you part separate ways and you do all sorts of things. Those of you who know me know that my whole deal with the Summers Group is that I just wanted a little simple boutique consulting group. So strategic alliances was with other little boutique consulting groups so that when we had projects, if I had more work than I could handle, I had partners that I could give work to. When I didn't have enough and they had more, I could turn around and get opportunities. Those sorts of things came together. These strategic alliances can take all kinds of shapes and forms. Cooperative competition, co-opetition. Sometimes it makes sense to, even though you're competitors, to join forces in order to be able to do some stuff. That might make sense in terms of trying to do something in terms of enhancing your industry. You know, I'm thinking specifically in terms of me doing stuff with folks at the Rotary. But there may be times when that makes absolutely sense, good sense for your businesses. But you want to be able to think in terms of when these things make sense. A joint venture may work out to put resources into a venture that's going to benefit each of you. And so that might be a way that maybe, there's something that could enhance your business. The other thing in terms of that might be in terms of maybe, I don't know, distribution channels. You're just trying to figure out how to be able to get out into the marketplace. You may do some things in terms of ways that you can buy things from other companies in a way that makes sense, that's for both of you. But there are all kinds of ways that we can start thinking in terms of our key partners. So before I move forward, any questions, any thoughts, any comments with regard to these kinds of key partners that we should be thinking about with our individual businesses? Anything, I'll give it a couple minutes for anything thrown into the chat. Bill or Dwayne, if you guys want to throw in any comments, or anybody else, please let me know.
James, I don't know if this would be an appropriate time, but the conversation, and I think that we talked about a couple of weeks ago before we went to Minneapolis, my wife and I, and did that conference over there.
Mm-hmm.
But I talked to you about the presentation that I gave that centered around pride. I think this might be an appropriate point to talk a little bit about that if you have the time. I'm just take 5 minutes and talk about it.
Go ahead, Dwayne. Go ahead.
So I almost wish I could share the screen and actually show them the couple of these slides, but
do you want me to give you the screen share?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Do you have it?
I do.
Go forth, my friend.
Okay. I'm not sure what everyone is seeing right now.
Top reasons people fail.
So just to give this a little bit of background, I actually did a presentation a couple of weeks ago. I got asked to present, I don't know how many of you are familiar with TED Talks, but I got asked to do a presentation, and the title of this event was My F-Ups. And it was like a TED Talk, but it was where he asked 4 entrepreneurs to come in and talk about mistakes that they made, and not just talk about how great things are, but talk about the mistakes that they made. And so I titled mine because I thought his title was the only presentation I've ever done that I had to do send out a G rating on the invitation when I talk to people about it. But but because it was my F-ups. But I said, hey, I screwed up. And so what I did is I kind of, this is my public sharing of a private therapy session of myself, and I hope this helps someone. But we make mistakes, and that's the definition of mistake. We sometimes have failures, and that's the definition of a failure. But as I thought through this, I said sometimes we actually when I really mess up bad, I say I screwed up, right? And that's the definition of a screw up. But when he asked me to come and talk, he said, hey, I want the title of this event, and it was a full auditorium too, with all these people wanting to become entrepreneurs. He said, I want it to be called My F-Ups, and he wanted us to talk about things that we screwed up really bad, and so he titled it F-Ups. And so when I looked up what that meant, there's actually a definition out in the internet. Remember, I told you can find anything out there just about. This was the definition of an F-up. Is a mistake made because of incompetence, a person who has a tendency to make a mess of things, right? And so what I did is I came back and actually put my head together and said that when have I really messed up, and what are some of the things why are some of the reasons that we fail? And I think when James is talking about partnerships, one of the reasons that businesses fail, and I can talk specifically about me right now, one of the challenges that I've had in business is that for 8 years, we've been in business, I've been trying to do everything myself. And so I sat down and said, what are some of the reasons people fail? Or one of the reasons is people are failing and don't know it. And that's a group of people playing Ring Around the Rosie. It's like little kids. They get together and they just have a great time. They're having fun. They don't even know they're failing. Well, there's a lot of people in life, a lot of people in businesses, a lot of people in relationships that are doing this right here. They're having fun, and they don't know. Every day they're getting closer to failure, and they're failing, but they just don't know it. Then you have a group of people, a smaller group, that are figured out they're not really getting everything that they want out of life, and they're not accomplishing everything that they want. And so they're scratching their head, they're taking a pause, and they're saying, hey, look, I'm failing and I really don't understand why, or I'm not getting everything out of this job or this relationship or this business or this entrepreneurship thing. Why? And that's the stage that maybe a lot of us on this phone call are doing right now. That's why we're working through this business plan competition. And then the last group, well, not the last group, but a smaller group is a group of people that have figured it out. And they actually are building things. They're actually going through the process of making things happen, and they're building things. But then there's a much bigger group out there that are wonder if I woulda, shoulda, coulda. I call that, is that they have regrets. And when I sat down and thought through this and put this together, I actually said there's a lot of people that I talk to who always tell me when they find out I'm an entrepreneur, said what they should have done. Man, I wanted to do that years ago with my brother. I should have done this. And they look back and they have regrets. If I woulda, shoulda, coulda. And so when I was going through this exercise, I didn't want to fall in any of the groups except for that one group where you see the people building the blocks. But unfortunately, we have to go through stages, and we go through stages in relationships and businesses, and our business will keep going around circles in this thing. We just have to always strive to try to move ourselves out of that. But I told James when I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, one of the number one reasons that people fail is pride. And I talked about how we become experts at putting on masks. You know, we're in this business plan competition, and here we are, have a great opportunity to leverage these no charge resources. I could call them free resources, but no charge resources, and the opportunity to win a full year of rent and or utilities. Or, you know, second place and third place are, I think, is 6, and then 3 or 4 months, whatever. But the bottom line is we have an opportunity to learn while we're doing this. But what happens, and this is me, I fall in this category. I was a corporate executive, so I became an expert of not showing how I feel. Plus, I'm a man. I'm a black man. You know, it's even worse, I think, sometimes is we you know, you fall, get up, don't stop crying. You're not bleeding, boy. You know, stop crying. Men don't cry. And so we're trained as a young age to hide our feelings and to hide and so we go into adult life with putting on masks. And I don't care age, race, nationality, socioeconomic background, education, we become experts of putting on masks. And pride is one of the main reasons people fail. I can't tell you how many times people that I counseled or worked with or consulted with failed because they didn't reach out for help. But I was so prideful, I didn't even see that I was doing the exact same thing to my own self, because I wanted to do everything myself and have it all done myself. See, a lot of times people think failure looks like this, where you start out at some point and then you go down to where you actually get to a point where you're failing. And I chose, again, to share with this crowd that I spoke with, and I'm sharing with you all now, that's not always how the way failure looks. Failure sometimes look like this. These are all the awards we've gotten over the years we've been in business, and here we are, this business 8 years old, and we've done all of these things. And when I met James Summers, he started talking to me about South Bend, and started talking to me about this business plan competition and sharing with me Project Impact. And I took the time to come over there and see what he was doing, and I humbled myself, because a lot of times, remember, like I said, some people think failure looks like this, but you look at people who've become experts at putting on these masks. And some of us on the line may be experts in doing this, and we try so much to accentuate our positives and the things that we've done that are good. And these are all wonderful awards and things that we've won, and I'm excited about them. But that doesn't mean a hill of beans of difference for me, because behind the scenes, I don't have the resources, and I didn't have all of the knowledge that I needed in order to help me go to the next level. And so I guess I'll stop there unless someone has some competition, some questions or whatever. I won't. Well, I guess I'll do this last slide. As I talked about, your network is your net worth. And just like James talks about partners, these people on this list right here all have a personal meaning to me, because I've met George Foreman a couple times. I was friends with and still friends with his family now since he's deceased, but Muhammad Ali's family and he. These two gentlemen right here on the bottom are both billionaires. One is $7 billion and the other is about $5 billion. And this one right here, both of them are mentors to me, but one of them I severed the relationship years ago, and I didn't know he wasn't a billionaire at the time. He was only a couple $100 million company, but because of pride, when I left an organization, I severed the relationship, not knowing he would someday become the largest African American owned company in the world for years in a row, and one of the wealthiest African Americans in the country. And then this gentleman I used to work for offered me a job to move to China to become an expat. And I turned him down because I left the company, but I still should have kept the relationship. And I've reached out to him a couple of times, and I've reached out to all of these except for George. I don't have his information, but these others. And so my point is, your network is your net worth. But here we are in this great business plan competition, and we're getting all this information, and they're talking about partners and what opportunities and who can we reach out to help us right now. I'm on the phone. I've been on the phone today. I was on the phone yesterday. I have a meeting tomorrow, and I'm talking with people who can actually help me with this next step, because of not just that I'm in this competition, but because I realize that I can't do it myself. And so with that, I'll yield my time, James. Thank you for letting me share. I know it's longer than 5 minutes. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. And I'll stop the screen share.
Hey, thank you, my friend. That, again, excellent, because that's exactly what we're talking about in terms of this competition, but also recognizing that we need partners in order to be able to move forward. Now, Cindy, you had a comment here, and did you want to share it still?
Well, you know, in the small business growth and development literature, talking a lot about partnerships, affiliation, because when you have 2 or more companies or a company and nonprofit partner together, you like double your reach. I mean, every time you create a partnership, you're increasing your reach. Before CTR Health Women's Initiative, we created a partnership with HOT here, our peers. So in the partnership, we actually help women who are in domestic violence situations transition out through entrepreneurship, which I would have never been able to do with just CTR Health Women's Initiative, because I know nothing about this. But I knew that half of the women that we help are in domestic violence situations, and it's hindering them moving forward. So this partnership we created has really grown both of our companies exponentially. So I think it's huge. People really need to look into that.
Partnerships can help us grow our individual businesses, and that's really, really one of the key things that we need to be taken away from this. Okay, so not going to spend any time. Here's a form that we use, just, you know, trying to think in terms of asking some questions. Who's the partner? Why they are needed? Why it is that I need this partner? What is the problem that is solved by partnering with them? What's in it for them? It's important that you understand what's in it for your partner to make sure that this is a win-win, and then what's in it for me. So again, you'll take some time to be able to take a look at that. We're out of time right now. So there's an influencer list that's out here on the site. These are people who have actually said, call them, shoot them an email. They will reach out, buy them a cup of coffee, ask the question that you have, and let them turn around and share their knowledge with you so that you can grow your stuff. Right? Mike King, again, I've told you before, I love Mike. Mike's a serial entrepreneur in the community. He's doing the things in terms of the Baker Building. He's got this whole thing in terms of the incremental development that happens. He's an absolute blessing in terms of sharing information. Antonius Northern with the City of South Bend, he came in and he presented to us. Anthony Douglas, Teachers Credit Union, he's talked about in terms of how they're willing to be able to help and reach out. Tom was just on the phone, CEO of Notre Dame Federal Credit Union. It's $1 billion friggin' company. Come on, guys. I mean, if you don't tap into that, I don't know what's wrong with you. Adam Gill, works with Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, is very interested in terms of how do we create some sort of financial resource and how can they turn around and coach us in terms of how we need to be putting our businesses together. And he's at the forefront in terms of bringing different financial institutions together in order to be able to try to work to create a new process in terms of how we grow small businesses. Mike Morris, many of you have already taken his course. Mike, God bless him. I love working with Mike. We work together as much as we possibly can. Mike Patton is City of South Bend. He talked about the programs that he has available in the city that might be able to help your businesses. Hugh Johnson, he's got J2 Marketing, advertising agency. Call the dude and ask, and have a conversation about your marketing strategy and how you might be able to make it even better. Ann Voll, she has the Sibley Center. She's turning around and she's opening. Her business is trying to create a business incubator and spaces. Maybe she's got space that fits your business and that sort of thing. Have a conversation. Lou Pierce, Big Idea Agency, another ad agency. The guy has done amazing things in the community and is willing to share some of his time and his knowledge with you. Tom Hall, principal at THK Law Firm right here in town. Once again, you need some legal advice, you got some questions that you're not quite sure about that, give a call, okay? Luis Zapata over at First Source Bank, he does amazing diversity and inclusion programs and can give you access to the resources at First Source Bank. Sam Casillas, in terms of South Bend friendly CDFI, alternative funding sorts of opportunities, have the conversation. They're offering themselves, okay? Bill is constantly here for you and he's giving you all the information. Please take advantage of that. Bill McDonald, Renaissance Executive Forums, they coach CEOs of corporations all around the region. Tap into this guy because he may turn around and give you some advice in terms of guidance, but also help you expand your network, okay? So that's it. Out of time, I promised that I wasn't gonna run over. I'm 7 minutes over. I apologize to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. The recording is gonna be online, so you can listen to anything, you can stop, contact us for any additional resources or any help that you need. God bless you. Have a great evening.
James,
Yep.
was there still one question? Was there still a question out there we needed to deal with, or I had for me?
I'm not sure.
A technical question or something from earlier?
Oh, Cindy, you had a technical question that you wanted to ask later?
No, I think it was Tracy.
Oh, Tracy had a question. She's going to be in touch with you offline, Bill.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, thanks everybody. God bless.